I'm going to show you how to start to build the picture of your perfect dictator. We're going to use Google Drawings to do it, and you can get to that through your Google Drive. It's a bit limited, so if you have Photoshop or some other kind of photo editor, it's a heck of a lot better. So if you know how to use that, use that. But I'm going to have to just show you with this. So first thing I'm in my Google Drive. I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to select a Google Drawings. So to get to that, I've got to go down to More and select Google Drawings. And what it does is it just pulls up, in essence, a blank canvas for me. You can see that here. And this is the canvas that I can use to create my drawing. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a series of pictures of the different dictators, and I'm going to then put them on here. I'm going to crop them and try to piece them together, and then I'm going to use the image editing tools of brightness and contrast to try to get them to kind of look about the same. So I'm going to go over here to Google, and I'm going to do a search on somebody, and let's say I want to use Joseph Stalin's hair for the top of my person's head. So here's Stalin. Here he is. I'm going to go to images so I can get a bunch. What's going to help you out a lot too is you have to decide whether or not you want a color image or whether you want black and white. I think for our purposes, I think that black and white is going to work best. You want, in essence, if you can, to get a portrait of the person to where they're looking directly at you. So something like this, if you can avoid shadows and things like this in the background, and more something like this where all the images that you get of the people kind of have maybe a light background, so that and about the same kind of coloring using black and white. It's just going to blend a little bit easier. So let's say I'm going to use this right here. Here it is. I click on it. I'm going to right click. I'm going to copy the image. So then I'm going to go over here. I'm going to paste the image on there, and it's going to put this image here for me. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to try to build, I'm going to use his hair. He's got great hair. He also has got a great mustache, so maybe you want to use that. You can use any part, but remember, we're going to take the top. We're going to take kind of the eyes from somebody. We're going to take the nose and mouth part from somebody, and then we'll probably take this part from somebody else. So that's what I'm going to do. And you can kind of play around with that however you want. So what I'm going to do is I've got my image. I'm going to crop it. Here's my crop tool, and I'm going to cut out the parts that I don't want. So if I'm just using his hairline, maybe go up somewhere into his forehead, and then I click off of it. So now I've got his hairline. I'm going to make this bigger, right, because I want to make it a decent size thing here. So here's his hairline. All right, so now let's say I want to use Tojo's eyes. Okay, so I'm going to go back here to Google, and I'm going to go Tojo. Let's just go Hideki Tojo. There's one. I'm still going to go under images. Here we go. He's got some great glasses. Once again, I'm going to try to find, here's kind of a light background, similar colors. If I can find something better where we don't have that shadow in there, maybe I can find something like that. So I'm just going to search through, see what I can find here. I may not find anything great. This is not too bad. I don't like this in the background, but you never know what's going on here. But let's see what I can find, and then I can always crop stuff out. But once again, the more similar of an image I can find, the better off I am. In terms of, I've got a light background color here. It's going to take me some time. That's Hirohito. That's not Tojo. That's Hirohito. But that would have been a good one to have. I'm not sure what we've got. You know what? I think this one up here that I saw was probably closest. Not great. Did I see one down here? No, not really. So I'm gonna roll with this one. So here it is. I'm gonna say copy image. I'm gonna paste it over here. Okay, so here it is. It's much smaller, right? So first thing I'm still gonna do is I'm gonna crop it, and I know I need to go maybe to here, something like that, right? Get his whoops, I don't want to do that. Let me Control Z that. I want to make sure that I'm actually cropping it. So I'm going to get down to about here. I want to take, part of his nose, but I've got his eyes and his glasses. There we go. So now I've got to try to make this about the right size. And then I can kind of start to move things around. Maybe I need a little bit bigger. There we go. Starting to get in there a little bit. Line that up a little bit. Maybe that's still a little too big. But I can play around with it. Okay. So there, I've kind of pieced that together a little bit. Maybe I want to go get Hitler's mustache for that part or something like that. But let me just show you the other part. I'm going to go up here and I can click on this, and I know I kind of want to lighten some of this. So I think I can go into Format, and I can go to Image Options, and I can play around with the brightness a little bit and get things to blend in. And I can't really do a whole lot, but you can kind of see I get some in here. It kind of looks worse, and I'm just going to play around a little bit to see what I can get that starts to look about right. Even that shadow doesn't look too bad. But let's say I'm okay with that. I don't really like that. I can always adjust it. Once again, see what I can get here. Oh, too dark. But I'm just going to play around with those things and try to get it to look right. I can always adjust this one to help that out a little bit. That's going the wrong way maybe. There, that looks all right. But you get the point, right? And then I get my other two pieces and kind of get that. At the end, I'm going to have these kind of offset little things. I don't really like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert, when I'm done with all four, what I can do is I can insert a shape. And the shape that I like is kind of this frame. And then I can kind of get that on here. You can kind of see I can get that on here and kind of frame him out, and it cuts off those other parts, and I can do something like that, and that'll be pretty good. So that just gives you an idea of kind of how to play around with and creating the dictator of your choice, or the perfect dictator.